Good morning, everyone. How was our week? How was work? Hope we're good. How is the family? It's so nice to see everyone here again. I'm seeing Madam Zibo, Ogarabu. I'm seeing his people here. Let me see. Uh, yes, I'm seeing Chiamaka. I'm seeing Mr. Mike. Oh, Mr. Mike, you're nice. So nice to see you again. Um, Mr. Mike. I'm seeing Mr. Madam Zainab. I'm seeing Zainab. Oh yeah, I think I can see Zainab too. I can see Chiamaka. I can see Michael Rabiu. I'm seeing Zibo. Um, I think maybe we should wait for like 10 more minutes so that we can have everyone on board before we go off. We still have about maybe four to five students missing that are yet to join the class. So we can carry everybody along. So it won't be that we are leaving them behind. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Mama Auntie Zibo, is that you?
No, this is Chawaka Perpetua.
Ah, Madam Chiamaka, how are you? How is the family?
I know. Thank you. How is your family too? Mm.
Yeah, we bless God. We bless God. Everyone is fine. Everyone is fine.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Who is that? Who just say good morning right now?
Zibos.
Oh, Madam Zibo, how far? How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. How about you?
Yeah, we bless God. We bless God. We bless God. God has been faithful. Now only the women they greet you guys. Now we're done. Oh. Is this how we are?
Good morning, sir.
And now I hear. If I'm not talking now, for no now, no go greet now. But last, no, I still no say we are still guys. Last, we are still guys.
What is
Sorry.
that?
I hear now. When I no get a guy back at all, wallahi.
That I thought, sir. Morning, sir.
Oh,
How is your
good
family?
morning, Mr. Yuba. Nice to see you
Yes, sir.
guys. I beg,
Thank
who
you.
among
Yes,
you,
sir.
who here is in Abuja right now? Who here is in Abuja right now? I really want
I'm
to
in
find out
Abuja, sir.
something. Who is in Abuja amongst us? Who is that?
I
I'm
am.
in,
Who?
I am
I'm
in
in
Abuja, sir.
Oga Yuba, you are in Abuja.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How far now? You know they go for election.
I'm supposed to, but I will go hopefully later after the class.
You know, you say we can't saying they build you more roads, even a voting candidate.
So we heard, sir.
You where one go vote.
They've
Who
done
you
so.
know? What's the number of people where you know where you want to go vote for? You know Abuja area council. Who you want to go vote for? I know Abuja, I know my house. What's the names of the candidates? You know them.
Mama, calm down now. No be fight. Ungwanu. Biko.
Come on, Chima.
We will vote the
But
My guy, who said you there for Abuja? I know Sokoro. How you there?
it be like say you dey going party as they talk like this with this your accent, or maybe na also Guzape you dey.
No, that's
Abuja,
Sokoro.
sir.
Okay, you know Guzape. You know, I think
Na
No,
rich kids,
come your
no.
na
house,
rich
don't
kids
chop.
dey my class o.
Then I come your house,
I
don't
beg
chop.
you. I beg
All
you. I
my
never
students na
reach.
rich kids o.
Hell, Chim.
Wow.
You want go vote? Who you want vote for? What be the names of the candidates and their party? Want to go and
Na
vote?
I I don't even know any. I don't know any candidates. I'm just going there to exercise my human rights.
Oh. Ah, okay.
Well,
It's
Good
well.
morning, ma. Thank you.
Good morning. Good
it's
morning.
so nice to have
It's well.
everybody on board. I'm really
Thank
happy to
you.
have everybody on.
Yeah.
It's well. Oh.
Alpha, yeah. So, quick one. Is there anybody that can give us like a quick recap of what we did last week, so that
Ewo.
we just use that one to start?
Sir, which week is this one now?
Wait till the thing where we talk last week. Anybody will give us summary?
I was not even here. This is my first time joining this class, sir.
Oh, okay. We'll do it. Okay, who is going to do a recap for Madam Chiamaka? Who will do recap for her?
Chibo.
Anybody will go do recap for her. I go buy and lunch. You just send me account number. You go say you go send me your answer. We'll send the money inside.
Wow. Somebody's busy. So, wow.
Who is that? Let me see. Who waved their hand? You can just unmute yourself and then just give us a quick recap of what we did last week. It's not a problem. Anyone that is offering. Then when you are done, you just drop your account number at the comment section or the chat box rather, and then you will receive your anybody. Do we have anyone? Now, when it comes to book, everybody don't keep quiet too. But even an election now, all of us will talk. Oga Yuba. Okay, maybe I will call somebody. You people will force me to call somebody. Madam Chiamaka was not in the class last week, so we'll let her slide. God Joseph just joined. That's good. Ebonluwa, 18. Oga Israel, Mr. Israel was not in the class last week. Yeah, Mr. Mike was in the class last week. Ayuba was in the class. Rabi was in the class. Zibi was also in the class. So, Mr. Ayuba, can you please give us a quick summary of what we did last week? Oga Ayuba, we're waiting for you.
Okay.
We are waiting for you. Continue. You have the flow of the class.
So can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
So can you hear me?
Very well. We can hear you. Loud and clear. We can hear you. Mr. Yuba, we can hear you clearly. Mr. Yuba, are you there? Okay. I am. Hold on, please. Honorable Oga Solomon, please. Can you hear me clearly? I want to know that the transmission is actually very good, so that this will not be like a pretest of Nigerian election, please. Before they say we cannot transmit, please. Oga Yuba, Oga Solomon, please. Can you hear me clearly? think the network is really. Please, if you know you can hear me clearly, kindly signify in the chat box by a wave of hand, please. I think that was the first thing we also have done. Just please signify by waving your hand. Okay, Mr. Mike, you can hear me. Ogarabi, you can hear me. Joseph, yes. Which other person? Please let me know if you can. Okay, Madam Zibo, good. Okay, so I think everybody can hear me. I think maybe it's Mr. Ayuba's network that is not so good. So I think everybody can literally hear me. So I think my network here is good. It's not really my network that is not so good. And teacher Amaka, amazing. Thank you very much. Zainab too, we're good to go. So I think I'll just nominate another person since Ayuba's network is not so good, so that another person can just give us a brief before we start. Okay, Madam Zainab, can you help us out? Can you just give us, can you unmute yourself and just give us a quick recap of what we did last week, please?
Can I try?
Yeah, Mr. Joseph, yes, you can. You can.
Okay. Last week, you talk about workplace hazard, there's accidents in workplace, then hazard and effect management process. That's what I can remember now. Then for the hazard, we talk about you explain about the hazard that is a situation that present a life or threat to life, health and property in an environment. Hazard then the workplace is anything or situation in the workplace that cause harm to people and danger.
Okay. That's good. Please continue.
Okay. I think that's all I can remember. I didn't really go through it throughout last week.
Okay. I love your honesty. No problem. So any other person that wants to help Mr. Joseph to complete the review he just did? Any other person?
Yes, sir.
Madam Zibo,
Huh?
you've not given me my 10% on the customer I gave you last week.
I've not gotten any.
You've not gotten any.
Yes, sir.
Let's get you a customer this week. I think Madam Chiamaka can help us and sort that out. Madam Chiamaka, Madam Zibo is a baker, so please help us and get a customer. We'll share the 10%. I will take 7, you take 3.
Okay.
Okay, so Madam Zibo, please go ahead.
Okay, last week we talked about HSC, healthy safety and environment.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So you're now telling us how we should be mindful of the things we do around us. First of all, you gave an example of how we on our gas. Sorry, how we use our gas. If we on the gas before owning our matches, or if we on our matches before owning our gas. These are the instances we gave and the safety tricks we gave, that owning of gas before owning the matches is not safe, but owning the matches before owning the gas is somehow safe. So you move forward to introduce the workplace of hazard. We talk about introduction of workplace of hazard, accidents in workplaces, and job hazard analysis, where you define hazard as a situation that possesses a level of threat to life, health, property, and environment. And one of the objectives of hazard is to identify hazard of equipment under control and control system of all circumstances, including faults and conditions misused.
You're
And,
doing awesomely well. You're doing awesomely well.
and to be always at alert and be conscious of the environment. I think so. That's all I can
That's
say.
okay. That's a very good one. I'm happy that I think we did a little bit of justice last week, and I'm happy we did a little bit of justice, and it shows that everybody actually we got the point of the training last week, and we were able to relate the lessons learned with our daily lives, whether in our workplace or in our immediate environment. And to be honest, I think that's the essence of sharing knowledge or teaching each other as regard when it comes to any form of information. So that's I'm satisfied. I did not fail on that note. So we'll continue from where we stopped last week. I think we have everybody on board now, so we can go ahead so that everybody will be able to relate to. We can all proceed further. So, so once again, for those just joining the class, my name is Olutokwe Akinshola, and it's nice to meet you. We'll continue with pleasantries later on so that we can go and speed up. All right. So pick one, Madam Zibo. You're a baker, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want to use your business idea to quickly break down M because I promised everybody that last week. And then I told them that we were going to continue from risk assessment. But before we do that, I promised everybody that we're going to use your business idea to do a little bit of pep talk on AMP analysis before we go further. So everybody is free to participate on this so that we'll just chip in one or two ideas as we proceed further. So now, the first one I think I want to relate with is that Madam Zibo,
Sir?
so your desire is to own a pastry factory, right? Whereby you have like a baking factory where you bake things. You probably do pastries such as bread, cakes, snacks, small chops, and all of that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank God we have Oga Yuba and Madam Chiamaka. They are the big girls in the big boy and the big girls in the house. We could refer to them as the rich kids. You understand?
Yes,
So
sir.
and then they're about to invest in your business. Madam Chiamaka, don't shy away from you. I believe in you this time around, so don't shy away from your capacity. Okay, so Madam Chiamaka wants to invest in your business, and then she's about to drop some couple of millions alongside with Oga Yuba that want to drop some couple of billions. You understand, to invest in your business idea, and then we are meant to program or carry out an imp analysis on the place where you want to set up your factory. So now, everybody, please, this is where you get to put in ideas. If your network is not so good for you to talk, you can just send in a message as a chat, and then I would read it to the class. Okay. So now, if you are setting up your factory, you need a building, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So you need a building, and then in the building, what are the things that you need?
Like the equipment,
What type of equipment?
We need oven, mixer,
Okay.
turntable,
Okay.
and other baking accessories.
Okay. Equipment includes sorry, pardon my English. Includes oven,
Yes, sir.
mixers, and what?
Turntable, palette knife.
Turntable. Okay. Okay. When I finally see someone that I want to marry, you'll be the one to bake my cake. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Just be ready. For
Okay.
free of charge. I'm not paying any money. I already have enough 10% on this
No
accumulating.
problem.
So okay. So we have this basic thing, and I think we'll just go with these three things you mentioned first. You talked about a oven, a mixer, a turntable. So now, do
Yes.
you want to use a gas oven or you want to use an electric oven?
Electric. Both.
Electric oven. Good. Which one?
Both can be used.
Both can be used, right? So in case
Yes,
of if
sir.
NEPA should show you Shege Pro Max, Abi.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have both an electric oven, and then we have a gas oven. Please, class, take note of this. So this is very important. You can relate it to anything you're doing. So now, what else do you think you need in that space? Everyone, please, not only Madam Zibo, you can also contribute, please. What do you think Madam Zibo needs in that particular factory that she needs to put in place? I will give you guys an expo. She needs to give her workers PPEs because of so that you not go and bite cake and see somebody's extension hair inside the cake. You understand? You need to. Am I wrong, Madam Zibo?
No, sir. Head cover
Head cover, yes, those are the things you need to give to your workers. What
and
else?
apron. Apron.
Okay, aprons. What else?
Sometimes you might use gloves.
Gloves. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so that the person will not be. It won't be like as if you are buying food from the roadside where somebody will wipe their sweat and still use the same hand to serve you amala. I don't know,
Yes.
but God is good. Share the amala go still sweet, no one, no one. So, um, what else?
If possible, nose marks.
Nose marks. Good. Nose marks. Please, anybody can contribute. Oh, what else?
That's all.
Okay. So, Madam Zibo, you were the one that completed the explanation for Mr. Joseph, right?
Sir?
You were the one that gave the final explanation after Mr. Joseph. You seconded Mr. Joseph when it comes to the summary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so please, Mr. Joseph, send your account number to the message box, and you to Madam Zibo too, the both of you, please. So Oga Yuba is apologizing to the class that his network is bad in Asokoro. Asokoro network is bad. So he said that we should please forgive him that his network is bad, but he's back into the class right now. So Madam Zibo, you've been able to mention that these are the PPEs you will give to your workers, right? But there's one that you've not mentioned, so I'll leave that one later. So now, Madam Zibo has been able to tell us that these are the things that she needs for a factory. Uniform, good. Uniform. So that it's not anybody that can just enter the factory without them knowing uniform and like let's say high heels. Yeah. Madam Favor, thank you very much. Abigail Favor. Abigail Favor, good. Yeah. Mr. Joseph, the account number has been received. Thank you. Madam Zibo to just type in your account number. So any other person, please let me know what are the things you think we should give to our workers before I go fully into explanation. Okay. So now, Madam Zibo,
Sir?
you remember everyone in the class, remember we mentioned that EMP analysis has to do with two things, four different let me take you guys there. Four different what's it called, processes. And what we said was that the process includes the following. We said one, identification Okay, good. This is the summary point. We talked about identification, assessment, control, and recovery. Good. Take note of these 4 things: identification, assessment, control, and recovery. These are the 4 steps when it comes to EMP analysis. So now, what we are just doing right now, alongside with Madam Zibo, is identifying all that she needs in her space. And please, if you know very well that we'll be able to identify things, the equipment that she needs, the safety gears that she needs for our workers. So now, number 1, we know very well that she needs an oven, an electric oven and a gas oven. So please, what are the potential hazards that can happen with either gas oven and electric oven? What are the potential hazardous situations that we can have with both of them? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so what are the possible risks attached to them? What can go wrong if we are using the both of them?
If you are using the gas,
Yes.
maybe you might not, it might be leaking somewhere that you don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's possible for what that can lead to the possibility of what?
Explosion.
Explosion, which is, let's just say, fire/explosion. Okay.
Yes. So
Uh, what next?
the electric one,
Okay.
maybe the current might be low, as the case may be, or it might be high, and it might lead to.
Electrocution.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes. So it's very possible for you to have electric shocks. I believe I'm not the only one that maybe one day have this fridge in the house that the corner will be shocking you just for
Uh,
fun. So
and secondly, for the electric oven,
okay.
before you start using it, you should also make a proper check if there is for the wire connecting to the oven, if there is place that is open to prevent.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, Mr. Joseph. So I jokingly used to tell everybody that I have conversations when it comes to training with that there are 3 types of electric shock in Nigeria, according to my layman or Nigerian man explanation. The 3 types of electric shock we have in Nigeria is that one, there's that one that will just shake your body, it will just vibrate you. There's not too much electric shock. That's the one that is around fridges, that when you just touch it, the thing will just shake your body. Small, or oven, or things like that, microwave, sorry. And then there's that one that we push you away and kind of change it for you, like get out of here. You understand? There's another type of electric shock that will push you away, we tell you get out. And the Oga Pata of them all is the one that will hold you and hug you. You understand? It will hold you in place, and then you'll be dragging the wire, and then the wire, it will kiss your hand and hold you like this. Funny enough, to the glory of God, thank God I'm alive. I've actually experienced the 3 of them. I think the one that almost killed me was the one that hugged me and held me. The wire was it got glued to my hand, and then I was pulling the cable. It wasn't pulling off until when my elder brother went to turn off the changeover, and I blacked out. But the benefit is that for the rest of the week, I was eating milk without control, and my mother did not shout at me. So that was the benefit I got there. But trust me, it was a very bad experience. It was a very, very bad one. So we need to avoid possible risks of electrocution. Good. So these are all the risks that we've actually identified. 2 of them. Do we have any other one? Any other one, Madam Zibo? What is another possible risk that we have in your factory, and we need to tackle it before we collect money from Auntie Chiamaka? She's ready to give us money. She's rich. And then we have our Odogu Panara as Oga Joseph, Oga Ayuba, they're cash money people, the Odogus. So any other?
These are the most common ones that are likely to happen.
Okay, but this is another one that I think you are missing out. Do you think is what happens when water or oil pours on the floor? What do you think will happen?
One will slip and fall. So
Oh, good. So do you think it's a
safety
risk, or
boots.
do you think it's an issue?
Yeah, It's an
Okay,
issue.
so
That's where safety boot will come in.
okay, but you know, give them now. You did not tell us to add that into the safety
So,
gears. And Madam Chiamaka has approved the money. You now want us to go back and collect more money. Eh? But there's no problem. So we're talking about wearing safety shoes. Good. So now, with what we have done right now with the word of mouth is what I can refer to as a little or simple EMP analysis from Madam Zibo's factory. So one, the first thing we are doing is to identify the areas of possible risks. Now, Madam Zibo's cake factory needs the following: a gas oven, an electric oven, and those are the major areas where we are actually having a major risk. So now, for the gas oven, when it comes to assessments, we have the possibility of having a fire hazard or a fire breakout. Now, for the how do we and for the gas for the electric oven, we have the possibility of having an electrocution. And then for general operations, we have spill of water or oil or slippery agents on in the space, and those are the risks that we have. Now, how do we get to control them? The major way of trying to control the leakage of gas is by ensuring that one, we ensure that the pipes are properly connected, and then we use very good pipes. And then secondly, the tank for the gas is away from the oven itself, is not inside the space. I believe I'm not the only one that knows that it's safe when you have the gas tank outside your house, not inside of the house. So should in case the knob is not properly heated or it is not well sealed and there's any leakage, the leakage is just going to go outside there and then it's not going to be in the space or be confined into your residential space or your functional space. Now, for that of the electric oven that we're trying to prevent the situation of possible electrocution, Oga Mike already told us the solution, or what I think Oga Mike just already told us the solution to that. Meaning that what we need to do is to ensure that the wires are properly connected and insulated as regards to having your earthing insulation well connected. Also, to prevent any form of power surge, we also should install current control gadgets whereby can actually control if there's any form of high current or low current. The device can actually control those current and prevent any form of possible electrocution. And lastly, for a general control of a possible spill or pour of materials on the floor is by what we giving the workers safety boots. Safety boots will actually allow them to have more friction on the floor. But even a better way is when you actually have insulated floors. Like, for example, you have rubber floors. Rubber floors are also more insulated as regards to preventing any form of accident against slippery or slippery floors, any form of fall. It helps to prevent that. And also, one of the benefits of rubber floors is that it also helps to reduce any situation of electrocution because rubber is not conductive. So if there's any form of wire bridge, it also helps to prevent or reduce the risk of electrical shock. So that is for control. So now when it comes to recovery, now, should in case, God forbid, there is still a form of fire outbreak, what are the recoveries that we need? Madam Favor already answered that question. We need a fire extinguisher or a fire extinguishing system in the space. So I don't know. I went to a federal secondary school. So it's only in movies that I actually saw it. I will confess right now. I believe you'll have seen these white movies that whenever a white child does not want to attend a class, then the next thing he will just do is just go and pull one fire alarm, and then the fire alarm will go off, bring, bring. Then everybody will run out of the class. Then the water sprinkling system will just come off, and then everybody will run out of the building wet and all of that, soaked in water, and then everybody will run home and all of that and be like, oh, it's a fire drill, blah, 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 things like that. Yeah, we only get to see it in movies. Then in the university days, then that's how it's in some of our universities. But that's another system that we can use for recovery. So we can have the installation of smoke detectors. But the problem with installing a smoke detector is that it will be going off all the time because what you are doing there is that you're actually baking. So there might be a lot of smoke around. So what you might need to do again when it comes to control is to ensure that you have a proper ventilation because those ovens are going to be very hot. So you need the place to be properly ventilated, devices pulling in air and the extractors pulling out air. and then you have the fire extinguishing system as a very good recovery system. So that is the simple analysis of M. So now you can actually use this example for any form of operations or maybe any form of methodology you want to execute on any project, including construction. It's from construction to NGO outreaches. You can use this simple conversation or word of mouth ideating session that we just did is can be referred to AMP analysis. And then the last thing which we can do right now is to document everything we've discussed, and then we have a proper documentation to submit to Madam Chiamaka as regards our AMP analysis for anti-Zibo's cake factory. And now I will ensure that the factory is not going to burn down definitely. So are we good? Can I go further now?
Yes, sir.
Madam Zibo, you want to say something?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, with you, ma'am. You have the floor.
Like the fire extinguisher that they mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, it can't just be there. You have to train them how to use it.
Perfect. You have to train the workers on how to make use of them.
Yes, sir.
So good. That's another thing. If your workers are not trained, definitely they might not know what to do when the time comes. So that's a very good observation too. So any other one? Any other one? Any other observation before we go further? Thank you very much. So I can then continue for what we have for the business of the day for today, which it's a very good one. So now we'll continue from where we stopped last week. And where did we stop? We stopped at, let me broadcast where we stopped. So, okay, I believe everybody can see that right now. Very good. Very, very good. Yeah. So last week we stopped at risk assessment. So we'll continue from there today. Okay, so we stopped at risk assessment, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, good. So now okay, good. I think everything is all set to go now. So we'll continue from risk assessment. So Madam Joseph, sorry, Mr. Joseph and Madam Zibo Docas, good. I've received the account numbers, and then I've received the account numbers, and before, once we're done with the class, I will handle it appropriately. But you people have to share the money. That's the thing now.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
So 309. I'm coming. I'm trying to take down the account details before I go further. Okay. Okay, good. Now, risk assessment. So basically, risk assessment is as simple as just the term that you can see on the screen in front of you. What is assessment? You're trying to break down the possible risk or possible occurrence of a particular hazard or situation. So now, a risk is the likelihood that something would harm someone. We all know that as the basic definition of risk. And what are the types of risks that we have? We have potential loss of life, assets, and production, and potential damage of health, environment, asset, and reputation. If you go back to where we started this discussion last week, we said there are 4 impact areas of hazard. We talked about the life, we talked about the environment, we talked about the reputation, and we talked about the assets. Those are the 4 areas. So now, what are the type of risks that we have? One, potential loss of life, assets, and production. So what that means, there's something that we could refer to as lost in time in production. So that's zero LTI. When we go further, you get to know about these terminologies as regards to professional terminologies. So you have potential zero LTI, that's lost in time of production, lost in time. So now you can lose, don't let me say you, someone can lose their life, someone can lose their assets, and someone can lose their productivity or their production due to a risk escalating. And if a risk should escalate, it can lead to damage of someone's health, it can lead to the damage of the environment, it can lead to the damage of the assets, and it can lead to the damage of the reputation, but it can't result to the damage of production. You understand? So now, when it comes to damage of assets, maybe the truck vehicle had an accident, then the truck vehicle is bad, of course, that's a damage. When it comes to reputation, people get to know it for something bad, not something good, that's also a damage. And also, when it comes to the person's health, yes, that's a damage as long as the person does not pass on. And then the environment, a quick one that I love to always cite when we're talking about this is the case of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Till tomorrow, that place is still inhabitable till tomorrow due to the fact that they use a nuclear bomb right there. So these are the issues when it comes to these are the type of risks that you have when it comes to HSE. Now, what is the aim or what is the objective of any form of risk assessment? One, to compare alternatives. Two, to optimize the use of scarce resources and assets. 3, to meet regulatory requirements. And 4, to identify hazardous situations and procedures. Now, when we were doing Madam Zibo's factory's EMP analysis, we identified all the risks that is possible that we can have right there. And if you notice what we tried to do when we talked about the oven, we talked about there are 2 methodologies when it comes to oven baking. We talked about the gas, we talked about the electric. And then in this situation, we tried possibly that, let's swap one for each other. Like, no, let's not go for gas. We have lights. And then Madam Zibo then said, no, let's not go for lights. Let's go for gas because of our very friendly neighborhood NEPA. And then we then agreed that since we cannot alternate or we cannot substitute both types of oven, we have to have the both of them. And then using the both of them, we need to ensure that we optimize them to ensure that we reduce their risks or any form of risks attached to them or hazard attached to them to prevent any form of escalation. And the truth is this, each of the methodologies that we actually decide to go with have their different hazard attached to them. And then regardless, they have common and different hazard attached to them. For both ovens, they both need serious ventilation because they are both generating heat. But for that of the gas, there's more of likelihood of explosion and not of electrocution. And then for that of the electric oven, there's more of possible electrical issues and less of explosion, you understand? So these are the 2 different situations. So these are the aim of risk assessment. Compare alternatives, especially when it comes to design phase. Optimize the use of scarce resources. Now, what are the scarce resources that we have in this country? We know that, yes, power is not that stable. So because the power is not that stable, we have to go for an alternative system in order to ensure that production we don't have any form of loss in production time, which is going for option B, having a gas. So when there's light, we get to use the electric oven. When there's no light, we get to use the gas oven. And even if there's light, and then the cost of gas, even if there's no light, and then let's say the cost of gas, let's say we have the light and then we have gas, and then the cost of gas should skyrocket to about currently I think a kg of gas is 1,400 and something. I'm not so sure, but I think it's 1,004 plus. Let's say she skyrockets due to scarcity. We can just stick to using the electric oven. And even in a situation whereby there's no power, we can also get a generator that can carry the electric oven. That will be a very big generator, obviously. And then a power plant that can carry that. So all of these we're trying to optimize a situation that we don't have any form of break in production and we're having an effective, smooth, self-sustaining system. That is what we're trying to ensure. And then we have to meet regulatory requirements. Now, to meet regulatory requirements, when it comes to Madam Zibo's factory, we talked about the health part of it, whereby our workers should be actually wearing proper safety gloves. And then whereby you won't go and buy a cake one day and then you see somebody's extension or hair inside the cake. I think I've had that experience before, that I bought something and then I saw something funny inside. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've had that before. Yeah. So, and then you get to see someone's hair inside, and then, or maybe you're someone that you're very curious to see how the production is going. And then when you enter into a factory to see how they are baking your cake, you now see somebody wiping their sweat like this. Now clean their shirt, and then next thing they continue baking your cake. All those type of things. So regulatory health standard and all of that. And then to also identify hazardous situations and procedures. So we've been able to identify any form of hazardous situation and procedures to ensure that they are well controlled and prevent any form of possible escalation. So now, what are the procedures of risk assessment? The procedures of risk assessment is same as M, which is you identify the risks, you quantify the likelihood of occurrence, you quantify the consequences attached to them, and then you evaluate the effect on the business. Now, the possible risks we have when it comes to Madam Zibo's cake factory is that we have the risk of a possible fire outbreak. It is possible. Now, what is the likelihood of occurrence? After doing our EMP analysis, to ensure that we mitigate any form of possible occurrence of fire occurring. And the moment we are able to do that, thank God, that means, let's say we've been able to drop the possibility of any form of fire accident to as low as reasonably possible, to 10%. Now, regardless of dropping it to as low as 10%, does not mean that we should not try to take note of what will happen if we have a fire outbreak. So we need to understudy the consequences. If we have any form of fire outbreak, what's the possible consequence, Madam Zibo?
Sir?
What's the possible consequence that would occur? What would be the consequences of having a fire accident in your factory?
Carelessness.
No, I mean the consequences. The consequences of what will happen if you have a fire outbreak?
Okay, loss of properties.
Loss of properties. What else?
I know that there will be no loss of life, sir. Only properties.
Okay, what else? There will be loss of properties. Let me help you. There will be no more production. You will have to look for new capital for us to restart the business again. Your workers will be jobless for a while because they won't be coming to the office until when the office is the factory is back into shape for them to be able to be of work. These are lots of consequences that are attached to it. And then the evaluation of the effect on the business is that the business will be running at a loss or possible bankruptcy. These are the possible effects on the business. And by the grace of God, don't worry, your factory will not have any form of fire accident in Jesus' name. And let everybody shout amen. Good. So these are the possible effects of having a fire outbreak in any factory. Now, let's go to risk assessment matrix. We've talked about calculating for risks and all of that, and let's talk about RAM. Now, when it comes to RAM, please, you can look at this table right in front of you. You are seeing on top of it is risk assessment matrix. We have consequences, we have likelihood of occurrence, and under consequences, we have 4 color codes. We have the orange, we have the purple, we have the sorry if I'm not getting the colors right. That particular second color is looking like purple to me. Thank God we left school after, during that time, there were only 12 colors in school. After we left, then the ladies decided to review the colors and brought about 1,300 and something other colors. So we have orange, we have purple, we have blue, we have green, and that's under consequences. And then we didn't have a likelihood of occurrence. We have light or sky blue, we have yellow, and then we have red. So now, when we talked about the aspect of fire occurring in the business, right? Now, if fire should occur, what is the possible impact on people under orange? Can anybody help? If fire should occur, it could lead to one, possible no injury or no health effect, then that will be 0. Under asset, if it does not destroy anything, that's no damage, that's still under 0. And then under the community, no effect, under the environment, no effect. If you should marry that to the next table of the likelihood of occurrence, which is it has never been heard of in the industry, it has been heard of in the industry. 2, under AB, and under C, it has happened in an organization before, yes. It has happened at the location near more than once, 2. And under E, it has happened more than once per year. If you should check and marry this house together, which is under the people, it is 0, under the asset, it is 0, under the community is 0, under the environment, it is 0. And then you then plot it on a straight line graph to under A, B, C, D, and E. You would see that it's under the sky blue chart that states that it gives room for continuous improvement. And that is because we've been able to do a lot of EMP analysis to prevent any form of likelihood of occurrence. Now, if we did not do our EMP analysis, and then there has been, while Madam Zibo is running the factory, a possible fire accident or an hazardous fire situation has happened under the people more than 3 times, and there led to more than 3 fatalities. It has led to very massive damage. It has had a massive effect on the community, and it has created a massive effect in the environment, which is chart number 5. If you should marry chart number 5 to chart number E, has happened more than once per year in the location. You notice that it took us to the very red danger zone, meaning that it needs to be stopped immediately and should not be tolerated anymore. And this is what I'm trying to refer to when it comes to the chart, the RAM analysis, which is risk assessment analysis. It lets us know a situation that needs continuous improvements to be controlled as soon as possible or to be reduced to as low as reasonably possible, and then a situation that is totally not to be endorsed or not to be allowed to occur anymore, which is the red danger zone. So you can use this matrix or this table chart to actually quantify past accident situations, or that which is about to, or any form of assessment you are doing that is for any form of operation you are about to start, and even for any form of operation that is ongoing. So you can use this to checkmate risk on operations that you're about to commence, operations that are ongoing, and operations that are already in existence. You can actually use that to check the likelihood or the level of risks they are actually running on the project. So the next thing we're going to be talking about right now is job hazard analysis. Now, very fast, what is job hazard analysis? Please remember, if you have a question, you can call me, and then I will please just signify by raising your hand, and then we'll go back and then to identify or to treat the question. So what is job hazard analysis? Job hazard analysis is the systematic identification of the hazard of a job. Quantitative assessment to ensure that all hazards are properly checkmated and properly controlled. Job hazard analysis. So now, what is the importance of job hazard analysis? And what are the benefits of job hazard analysis? It detects previously unidentified hazards, identify unsafe work practices before an accident can occur, decreases injury rates, increases quality of work, increases productivity, ensures it helps ensure proper job procedures, which is what we refer to as SOPs, and then reduces work compensation costs because there won't be any accidents, valuable training tools, increase the job knowledge on team members, safety and health awareness, improves communication between workers, acceptance of safe work procedures is promoted, and serves as a guide to any job being done. Now, I love the fact that Madam Zibo made a very good comment on something as regards to training our workers, meaning that all the workers that will be working for her need to be trained on how to bake and on how to make use of any of the safety devices. This will ensure that they are actually well knowledgeable and they are actually able to bake or produce any form of the pastries or the cakes or any product from the factory and meeting a particular standard as regards to customer satisfaction and as regards to safety SOPs, which means standard of production or standard of practice in our factory. Now, I believe maybe each and every one of us, we've done our interns before, internship, whereby you get to intern in a company, you don't really know much about what is being done there. You get to learn how to work and things like that. The work like more like a form of a formal introduction into a workspace, that kind of thing. And you have to go through an onboarding process. An onboarding process is what they will get to teach you on how they do things, their organizational culture, the organizational standard of practice, how they get to communicate, chain of commands, chain of mode of operation, flow of power and flow of communication, all those things. These are things that are very, very important when you ask to do in any form of work environment. So now, where and when do JHA apply? JHA applies when it comes to routine taxes that are being carried out in unusual circumstances, non-routine tax or one-off tax, new tax or new projects. These are where and when JHA applies. And then who is the person responsible to perform JHA? JHA is not performed by one person, please. This is a situation that we talk about that no man is an island of his own, but is actually meant to be performed by a multidisciplinary team of professionals, 3 to 5 or more people. So the reason why we actually need 3 to 5 or more people to perform JHA is because why? 2 heads are better than one is the common man say when it comes to trying to recognize the fact that no man can do things alone by himself. And as regards to also having multiple people or professionals on the team is that what I would miss, the next person might actually get to see it, and then there's little or no room for any form of omission or any form of oversight. So a personal story of myself that happened last year, October/November. As you all know, I'm a project manager and I'm also I'm in the construction field. And one of my clients that is more like a big sister to me, like a family member, called me to her house that I should please come and help her and check her parlor, that the paints are looking somehow, that I should please maybe schedule for the repainting of the entire interior of our home. So when I got to while I was leaving my office, coincidentally, I have these 2 interns. One is a core member, one is a student intern. And then she kind of looks like the lady, like there's this kind of, the way they say that the Lord created people in twos. So I was kind of just curious. I'm like, oh, follow me. Let me introduce you to this client that you guys kind of look alike. So let me take you people there. So they followed me to her house, and then she was pointing everywhere. And then we were doing this inspection walkthrough, whereby we were checking everywhere and all of that. And to be honest, as a professional from a technical point of view, I was looking at everything from a technical perspective of maybe there's a water leakage somewhere, maybe there's any form of damage somewhere that is actually affecting the paint or something. So I went around the house, even went to our bathroom, trying to check if everywhere was still properly insulated as regards to moisture movement, or maybe there's a pipe leakage somewhere. I was just doing my job as a professional, and I left the girls in the parlor, and then I went around alongside with the clients, and then we checked everywhere. And then while I concluded, in my mind, I just already concluded and said, Ma, to be honest, I'm not seeing anything, but I think I will still need to come back and check again because I think maybe there's water leakage somewhere. That's why the place is looking damp, because the place was looking dark. Like you see like this shadow being casted on the place. So I thought I'm like, Ma, the place is looking a bit dark and I don't know, but I used a very high quality paint for her when she did the repainting of the job. We used Dulux paint. So I'm like, maybe that's why we're having this effect, but let me just still check and then I'll get back to you. So when I left the house, shut the door and got into the car with the interns, So the interns turned and looked at me and then said, sir, there's nothing wrong in the house. I said, what do you mean? So they said, the shadow I was seeing on the wall that's making the wall look damp is actually the chandelier in the house. So I said, what do you mean? So they said, when I went upstairs, that they were downstairs, and then they sat down in front of the TV and turned off the lights, and then the shadow disappeared. So when they turned on the light again, the shadow appeared. So they discovered that it was actually the light that was facing the wall of the TV that was projecting the shadow of the chandelier on the wall, and then making it look as if it was damp or darkened or having any form of reaction. So I said, okay, very good. So I went back, I came down from the car, dragged the both of them back into the house and told them, I told the madam that, ma, they've solved your problem. And then they were like, what? I said, ma, they solved the problem. So I don't really want to tell you what they saw. So they told the woman that, ma, this is what happens. And then they demonstrated it for the woman. And then the woman was like, wow, are you serious? That we've actually been cracking our head trying to solve this whole thing technically. And then they were actually, because they sat down there and then they observed the lighting space, the lighting of the space, they discovered that it was not actually it was not anything technical. It was just the chandelier, the shadow of the chandelier being casted on the wall. Because she has a very funny chandelier actually. So it was not really giving the shape of the chandelier. It was giving a totally different shape. So now, from my own perspective as a technical person, trust me, I would have gone to be saying, oh, this one is down one, that one is down one. But because I had 2 or more people on my team that were able to view things from a different perspective, we were able to actually solve the problem without even spending any money. So that's the reason why it is very important to have 3 or more people on your team. And it has to do with something that's also very important when it comes to JHA. When you're having anything that has to do with teams, you need to have very good leadership skills whereby you allow people to flourish and allow people to express themselves. If I was a very bossy boss that I don't allow my interns to even question me, I would have been in a very big shit. Sorry, pardon my English, a very big problem. So them being able to express themselves, ask questions, tell me, oh, sir, is this right? Is this wrong? Actually help us to communicate and understand each other better, whereby they can actually come and tell me that, sir, why are we doing this? I will explain to them. Why are we not doing this? I will explain to them. So please, this is the reason why it is very important you have 2 or 3 or more people in the house. Even though we tell you that it takes one mother to give birth to a child, but it takes an entire community to raise the child. So you need more professionals to actually work together to prevent any form of oversight or any form of negligence or any form of omission. So now, what are the JHA methods that we have? One, we have observation method, we have discussion method, we have recall and check. Now, for the EMP analysis that we did, what we simply did right here was discussion and observation based on professional judgment. We observed that if this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, and then we discussed it. So we did a combination of observation and discussion. Regardless, our observation is based on past experiences, not that we went to a site to observe, but we're just observing that when you are doing this, you do this, when you are doing this, you do this. So it's more like a discussion. Observation has to do with when you actually go to the site or the location or the operation and you get to observe things happening, and then you get to do your analysis, or you get to carry out your methodology of implementation. Discussion is what we are doing right now. We get to discuss the possible effects of how we can actually make things better. And then we then have recall and check. Recall and check is a method whereby, let's say we have done this before, or for example, the EMP analysis that we did for Madam Zibo, we recall it and then we do a recheck on it that, oh, let's improve it to make it better. So that is for recall and check. But the truth is this, each and every one of those methods have their limitations. So for an example, limitations for observation method involves that one, it cannot be readily applied to a new job or job being done frequently, because observation method involves that you have to be doing the job and then observe the process of execution for you to actually make your observations to get things that you need to do. So for an example, you see that people, during the industrial age, people were doing things, for example, a common example is that of, what's his name? I'm trying to remember this is a very well-known popular scientist. and during the COVID-19 period. I'm trying to remember his name. Please, when I remember his name, I will let you people know. Whereby they were trying to create vaccines for the COVID-19 virus, and then they had to observe on the job. And then actually, the first set of people that did the clinical trials for COVID-19 vaccine, actually, all of them died. Actually, they sacrificed their life for the betterment of the human good. Whereby they had to observe on the process, whereby they inject people with the virus and with the vaccine, and thereby they then get to observe it if it works, if it doesn't work. That's more like on the job, like you're observing on the job, and that is the limitation of the observation method. Now, for that of discussion method, discussion has to do with whereby you have a lot of people together, they get to discuss, and most of the time, I think the issue that we can have with discussion method or ideation has to do with conflict of opinions, whereby, but it does not occur all the time, but it happens sometimes, whereby people actually get to have conflict of opinions. And then for that of recall and check has to do with a situation whereby they've done the job already, they prescribed a form of solution, and then why during the course of occurrence they notice that there are possible areas of improvement, then they get to recall and check on that. So that is for the three of them. So what are the possible procedures, or what are the procedures of job hazard analysis? I'll just list them very fast so that we can catch up with today. 1, you select a job for analysis. 2, you break it down into steps, or just like we did for Madam Zibo's factory. 3, you determine or identify the hazards. 4, you recommend preventive measures. Those are the methods, or those are the ways we actually get to control or get to carry out our job hazard analysis procedures. And then, for example, in fact, to close out for last week, this is the form for job hazard analysis. 1, we have the number, serial number. We then have the basic tasks or step. We then have the hazard, possible injuries, and then we have preventive measures. Sorry, that last one where you actually have injuries there is meant to be preventive measures, not preventive injuries. It's meant to be preventive measures. So now, for job hazard analysis, you list the step. 1, what is the step? Baking in the oven. What are the possible hazard or possible injuries we can have? We can have possible electrocution, poor ventilation, which will lead to high temperature in the space. What are the preventive measures? Proper electrical connections, proper ventilation of the space, and things like that. So these are just simple methods of how you carry out job hazard analysis. So we'll go for, that is where we were meant to stop last week. So this is, so with that, we've ended the class for last week. Do we have any question? Do we have any question in the house? Anybody with any question at all, so that we can, before we go further to today's topic? Any question? Anybody with any question, please? Okay, good. So let's dive into what we have for today, and then we get to go very fast. The topic for today is not something that is going to hold us back. So good. So for today's class, these are the things we want to discuss. Number 1, we're going to be discussing personal protective equipment. Number 2, we're going to be discussing permit to work systems, confined spaces, and good housekeeping. This, I'm going to be very fast with this. Trust me, it's going to be a very quick class. Okay. So now, when it comes to personal protective equipment, Madam Zibo, I remember that while we were setting up your factory, you were telling us the things you wanted us to provide for your workers and your team members as regards to protective personal equipment. So
Yes,
now,
sir.
yes. So now I have a question for you, right?
Okay, sir.
What does those things offer them? The things you're giving them, what does it offer to them?
Safety.
Can you expatiate?
Okay. Like, let's say like the safety boots I mentioned, or can I start from the hairnet to the apron, or I can choose
Yes,
anyone?
yes, sure you can. Sure you can. You can.
Okay. Let me start with the hair cover. While making someone's, maybe you are making a pastry or a cake, it's advisable to cover your hair, because so that hair will not be found in the cake or any of the pastries around. Secondly, wearing aprons or uniform will prevent flour from splashing on your body or having dirty body, as the case may be, because these are things that we use, and if care is not taken, if you come to work, going back, you might look like a slave while going back. Down to the safety boots, if by any mistake fire occurs, or maybe oil will splash on the floor, so that someone will not slip and hit his or her head on the ground. And I forgot to mention gloves. Yes, like the gloves, you will use it to like take out the cake from the oven to the workplace.
Okay.
Yes,
Why
sir.
why do you need the gloves to remove the cake from the oven or the pan?
The pan, sorry.
Yeah. Why do you need it?
To remove the pan from the oven so that your hands will not get hurt while
Okay.
you make it. Yes, sir.
Okay, so quick one. So you've been able to identify that the reason why we use this protective equipment is just to keep us safe, but
Keep us safe
that does not.
and
Okay, and what?
be hygienic.
Good. To keep them safe and for hygiene. Okay, but now, what is the capital need for them to actually be safe and to be hygienic? What's their primary responsibility?
So their primary responsibility is to deliver a neat work and a clean production process.
No, no, no. I mean, you have provided the PPE for your workers. So
Okay.
what is now their primary responsibility?
Their primary responsibility is so that they will. Oh, can someone help me?
Okay, so let me help you. So their primary responsibility is to ensure that they use them well. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So it's not just that you provided it for them, but you also is their job to ensure that they use it and use them well. So for an example, let me say, you know, the way we are in this country, we have some very funny habits, like some very funny characteristics in this side of the world. So let's say I'm one of your I'm on a tour to your factory, and then you then gave me a safety hand glove to wear, and then I'm meant to carry something out of the oven. But instead of me to wear it, you know the way we use napkins to hold pots and drop it from fire and things like that. So I decided to do that instead of wearing it. So do you think that will that will protect my hands from getting burned, yes or no?
It won't. Can you come again? Sorry.
Safety hand gloves, you are meant to wear them, right? Before
Yes,
you
sir.
lift any hot object away from the oven or retrieve
Yes, sir.
any hot pan away from the oven, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so instead of me wearing it on my hands, you can see the way my gesture, instead of wearing it on my hands, I decided to hold it the way you hold napkins and use it the way you use napkins to drop down pots from the gas cooker. So like as if I'm using it to hold the side of the pan and I'm trying to bring it out. I did not wear it. I only just use it to hold the pan. I want to use it to bring it out.
Yes,
So
sir.
do you think that will protect me adequately? Yes or no?
It will protect you adequately.
It won't, because the radiative heat inside the oven can still burn my hand.
Why I said it's real is because the gloves were there, but you insisted on using it just to hold it like that. So you know how.
Yes, I know, but the true thing is this. One, the pan itself will not burn my hand directly because it's not having direct contact with my hand. But you know, inside of the oven itself is still hot. So if I'm putting my hands inside or a little bit close to the door of the oven, the radiative heat from the oven can still actually burn my hand. Not very well, but we still feel the heat on my skin. You understand? Are you there, Madam Zibo?
Sir, I think, first, sir, can I talk?
Yeah, Oga Yuba, yes, you can talk.
Yes, sir. I think using the napkins will not protect you adequately because
Okay,
you won't. There's no way you'll be using the napkins to drop the pans from the oven, and uh, it will it will stick as a glove will. And if
okay,
you're using napkins, it might slip off. The pan might slip off because of the heat. And
okay.
uh, yes, other and maybe if you want to try, folding the napkins into the pan, it might end up coming in contact with the cake rather, therefore causing maybe dirt or um, maybe some particles from the napkins might get into the pan. But if you're wearing the safety gloves, you can easily hold it comfortably and bring it down without getting hurt by the pan. That's what I'm thinking.
Thank you very much. So you've actually explained what I was trying to capture. You've been able to actually break it down. And I'm thank you very much, Mr. Ayuba. So my major point is the fact that it's not just about providing PPE for someone. It is actually very important to use it the right way and the proper way it's meant to be used. So let's go further and then dive into the class. I think we will actually have a very good understanding of the class. So that will help me to speed up. And now, protective personal equipment. Uh, we've talked about hazard, we've talked about a lot of things. So let me just go straight. Now, protective personal equipment are safety gears that are provided for employees in workplaces or in work environment in order to keep them safe away from any form of possible hazard. That's the definition of protective personal equipment. Now, there are two responsibility charts when it comes to protective PPEs. One, we have the chart of the employer's responsibility, and then we have the chart of the employee's responsibility. Now, the chart of the employer's responsibility, one is to what, perform a proper hazard assessment analysis to thereby identify the necessary and the right PPE needed for any form of job to be done. So for an example, uh, if you see someone going for an offshore appointment, then they now tell you, oh, they need to wear reflective jacket. The reflective jacket they wear on the ships is different from the reflective jackets we wear on the construction sites. Most of the time, the reflective jackets they wear on ships have they're actually life jackets that can actually inflate themselves should in case the person should fall off the ship and all of that. The reflective jackets we wear on the construction sites don't need to have the possibility of inflation because we are not falling into water and you are not swimming in the sand. So they need to identify the proper type of PPE they need. Number two, responsibility for the number three rather is to what, train the employees on how to use and care for them properly, maintain the PPE is number four, and periodically review and update their safety plans. That is number five. And now for that of the employer responsibility grid for the employee, one is properly wear and use the PPE. I believe I'm not the only one that have done this during my IT days or internship days or student sideways. I remember then that during my student sideways, They gave us helmets and then told us to not be wearing our P caps or our face caps anymore. So we, the boys, then we innovated the helmet they gave to us, and then we flipped it backwards. So instead of wearing it like this, we flipped it backwards just for swag and all of that. And then that was the time to that. If for those of you that maybe you've actually used what's it called, you won a safety boot at one point or the other, you would know that safety boots are not nice. They are heavy on the legs, they are big. It's just now that we're having some nice safety boots that are really looking nice and looking fashionable, you understand? But the normal safety boot that we know, they don't really have fashion attached to their tags. So, and then I remember then, if you know, for the guys, now this to the guys, you know, there's if you're wearing sneakers, either you're wearing very fanciful sneakers such as Jordans, Timberland, or you're wearing Air Force, Nike, things like that. But generally, safety boots have a very close look to Timberlands. So what we do back then is that instead of tightening the rope of the shoes properly, we will loosen it and then clone the design of that of a Timberland. So you now see the shoe bouncing on our legs when we are walking. And then there was a day that they did an emergency drill without letting us know. So they just pulled the alarm while we were walking on site, and then everybody started running up and down, blah, blah, blah. And then some people fell while they were running. And the moment we got the muster point, they called everybody together, and then they started asking questions like, why did you fall while you were running? And then somebody gave an explanation and said, oh, while I was running, my shoe pulled out and all of that. And then the person asked that, why did the shoe pull out? And I said, I did not properly tie the ropes very well, and that was why. So that became an hazardous situation. So even not tying the ropes of the shoes very well makes the safety shoe become an hazardous situation in a possible situation of emergency evacuation. You understand now? So they need to wear those PPEs properly and also use them properly. Attend training sessions on PPE, care for, clean them and maintain them properly, and inform supervisors for the need of repairs when there's need for it. Now, one of the other things you need to do when you are working is to ensure that you know how to get the proper PPE. For example, I think my boss Oga Solomon is a bit chubbier than me, and so my PPE size is not going to be the same PPE size with him. You understand? So that's one thing that's also very important when you are actually selecting your PPEs, selecting the right sizes for the individuals. I'm sorry to say, but I think the core members in this class will be able to relate that when you got to the camp after your training, I believe people had issues with selecting the right shoes for yourself. And then maybe the overall they even gave you, the khaki they gave you, you have to go and meet a tailor so that the tailor will reduce it to your size. So you need to be able to ensure that you're selecting the right PPE for yourself. So now, what are the things that are very important to take note of when you are training an employee on PPE? One, you need to train them to know when the PPE is necessary, what PPE is necessary, how to properly use, take off, and wear the PPE and wear the PPE. Also, learn the limitations of the PPE. That you're wearing the PPE does not mean that you're totally immune from any form of accident. There are limitations to them, and then how to properly care and maintain the PPEs. So these are all the things that is very important for you to think note of. So the following are the types of PPEs that we have. Very fast. Number one, we have the head hat or the helmet. As people know, this is the helmet that you wear on any form of project site or any form of work environment that actually has to have any form of possible hazard with objects falling from above. This is head hat, or what we refer to as helmet. We have three types of head hats. We have the class A, the class B, and the class C. Class A can actually offer protection against any form of electrocution up to 2,000 volts, mostly used by high tension electrical engineers. And then class B can offer up to 20,000 protection against up to 20,000 volts, also used by electrical engineers. And then we then have class C. Class C does not offer any form of protection against electrical electrocution, any form of electrical, any form of possible electrocution. It doesn't offer that. That's for head, heart, or helmet. The next one that we have is eye goggles. It's more like what you wear to protect your eyes or to protect your sight on any form of operation. So now, protective goggles, we have different types of it. We have the protective goggles, we have the protective glasses, and then we have goggles with from to protect from flares, and we have electric arc welding face shield. These are the four types of eye protectors that we have: protective goggles, safety glasses, goggles to protect from flares and gas welding, and we have electric arc welding face shield. These are the four of them. I will come again. So now the protective goggles have two types. We have the ventilated and the non-ventilated. The ventilated are ones that have perforations around them, and the ones that are not ventilated don't have perforations around. They're mostly used for when it comes to divers, people that do swimming. People like us learn how to swim in rivers. So you understand, if you learn to go and swim in a swimming pool, they might give you something like this. So when you are swimming, you can open your eyes under the water. People like us, when we were swimming that year, when you open your eyes under the water, you will come out with your eyes red as if you just finished smoking. Then you now be doing like this. I believe I'm not the only one, so that in case when you go back home, so that your parents will not know that you went to the river to swim. And then you then have safety glasses. Safety glasses, you have two types, with side protection and the one without side protection. For example, what I'm wearing is actually a safety glasses. Actually, this is a blue cut photochromic lens. I walk around systems a lot. I'm always under the sun because of my line of work, because I'm into construction and project management. So this helps to protect my eyesight because I'm always under the sun. And I always work with laptops. I don't have any form of eye defect. It's just to protect myself from having any form of eye defect. Some people, you see most engineers wearing shades on site under the sun, is to prevent them from having, especially those that are very sensitive to light. It's actually to reduce the rays of light entering into their sight whenever or maybe the heat from the sun, or whenever they are working underneath the sun or any form of project site. It really helps a lot. And number three, we have goggles with protection from flare, glass welding, or smelting. You might have seen this a lot with welders, professional welders that actually use this to weld. And then the last one too, also used by those that work in any form of electrical company or power grid, or that are also into welding too. We have air protection device is the third one. We have four different types of air protection device. We have the cotton ear plugs, we have the elastic ear plugs, we have the foam ear plugs, and then we have the ear muffs. Now the cotton ear plugs, I believe we are all familiar with these first three: the cotton ear plug, the elastic ear plugs, the foam ear plugs, and then the one that maybe we don't really know about is that of the ear muff. Now the cotton ear plug is just more like a plastic, a very small flexible material that you can just use to plug in your ears, so that whenever you are working in a very noisy environment, it does not damage your ears. And then you have the elastic ear plugs, the one that has a string, the one that does not have a string. They have the foam ear muff, the one that has a string, and the one that does not have a string. But that of the ear muff comes like an headset that you can actually wear, and it covers your ears. And there are some that come attached to the helmet. There are some that come alone, that they're not attached to an helmet. So if you walk around a company or an operation that has to do with a very loud machinery, it is advisable that you have this in order to prevent your ears from going deaf gradually. So for an example, I believe I'm not the only one that did this. While growing up, there's this what we refer to then as MP3. There's this small MP3 that uses the double A battery and has a USB point that you can just load music on it, and then you connect to your earpiece, and then you get to listen to music. And then back then, because we're children, what we know how to do is to increase the volume to the loudest. And then when you're done listening to music for like a couple of minutes, the moment you remove the headset, someone around you might be shouting or talking to you. You'll be hearing it faintly. You won't be able to hear them clearly until maybe after some time it clears up. So that's what happens when you're actually walking around very loud machinery. It actually affects your hearing, and then you start having a little bit of what the medical team refer to as partial deafness. So the next one we're going to be looking at is respirators. This is more like a breathing apparatus. It helps you to be able to have air to breathe when it comes to walking in an environment where there's no sufficient air for you to breathe. Now, there are two types or three types. One, we have the dust apparatus respirator, we have the cartridge or canister, and we have the breathing apparatus. Those are the types of respirators that we have. The dust respirator is, for example, like that of the face masks that we wear during the COVID-19, or maybe during this Ramadan season that everywhere is very dusty. You get to wear something just to prevent yourself from having flu or from having blocked nose and all of that. And then we also have that of the dust respirators that I don't know if anyone there has been to a sawmill before, that you see them wearing something like what we have in the picture, and so that they won't be breathing in the dust particles of the wood they are sawing or cutting. Then we then have cartridge or canister. If you've seen a situation whereby you see firefighters working or trying to fight fire, you might have seen something like this before, whereby they get to cover their face with it, and then they can breathe properly without breathing in smoke from the environment. And then you have air supply breathing apparatus. There are two types. We have the self-contained, and then we have that which is linked to an air supply system. So I believe everyone has seen movies where you have to see water divers going to swim underneath the ocean. Yes, so this is an air supply apparatus. One is the self-contained, and the other one is that which is linked to an air supply machine. The ones linked to an air supply machine means that there will be a very long hose connected to a machine that will be supplying oxygen to the person for the person to breathe. And then the limitation of that is you can only go as far as the hose, you can only go as long as the hose connected to the machine itself. You can't exceed the length or the distance that can be covered by the supply pipe. For that of the self-contained, the limitation to that is that there will be areas whereby you cannot enter because of the fact that it increases your size. So you won't be able to force yourself into creaks and cracks that only your body can go through because you have a self-breathing apparatus attached to your back. So they both have their pros and they both have their cons. So now the next one that we're going to be talking about is protective hand gloves. Madam Zibo talked about this earlier on. So we have different types. One, we have gloves for common tasks, cutting or leather. We have gloves for handling chemicals, heat-resistant gloves. This is the type that Madam Zibo was talking about that we can use to bake, to remove the pans from the oven. And then we have cold-resistant gloves, people that work in cold regions. I don't know if anybody is in Jos here. I think well, during this time of I think it's very cold right now in Jos. So you get to wear things like this in order to keep yourself warm. You have hot-resistant gloves. You have anti-shock gloves. You have disposable gloves that are being used by by medical personnel. And then we have gloves for electrical works. After that, we have safety belts or safety harness belts. There are two types. We have the full body harness safety belt, and then we have the general purpose safety belt. Now, the difference between these two is as you can see in the picture, the full body harness safety belt goes around your body completely, while the general purpose safety belt is just like a belt around your waist. But I will always tell people it is always better for you to use the general purpose safety belt, the full body harness safety belt, actually, because it actually provides more grip and it provides more balance should in case there's any form of fall in any form of operation that you're working on. Then you then have foot protection, which is what we refer to as safety boots. Now there are different types of safety boots that, as you know, you have the rain boots, you have the full protective high top safety boots, you have the low top safety boot, but regardless, they all provide the same function. and some are better kitted and some are offering better protection than the other. Like for an example, there are some safety boots that don't have metal platings. So sharp objects can pass through to it to actually puncture your leg, while some actually have metal plating that does not allow sharp objects to penetrate. So, but the aim of any form of a safety boot is to ensure is to protect your legs from the following: being struck by hard objects or rolling or falling objects, sharp objects from pressing the sole of your feet, from to also protect your legs from scratch, also protect you from sleeping on wet floors, contact with chemicals, and in case of any form of electrostatic discharge, it protects you from electrocution. Now, another type of PPE that we'll be talking about is safety aprons, which is what we refer to as overalls. Now, I want to throw a little quiz to the class. I believe we all remember then in secondary school. For those, I think everybody in secondary school, as long as you did it senior secondary, you must have a lab coat because of biology. We all did biology, regardless of either sciences or art or commercial. Everybody did biology, and if you are doing biology practicals, you need to have a lab coat or an apron. So, and then thank God for our fathers back then. From SS1, they will buy you an apron that you will grow into it by SS3. You understand? So that you not be buying every single year. So I remember very well in my SS1, I had to fold my apron and iron it so that it would be nice. In SS2, I reduced it a little bit. And trust me, when I was in SS3, my mom is very good. It was as fitted as any other thing. So parents then, they are, trust me, I wish, I think the mothers of nowadays used to go back and learn from our parents then, whereby you see into the future, you sow for the future, whereby the child will grow into it. So then, and then, but really, the aprons we wear back then were not to offer 100% protection against chemicals or any form of activity we have in the lab. It was to prevent us from having direct skin contact with any form of liquid or any chemical, or our uniform having direct contact with it too directly. So, for example, if I'm working in the chemistry lab and then there's a chemical spill, it will touch my apron first before touching my uniform, before it will now touch my skin. So there are layers of protection, so it helps. But this is what I want to talk about. Yes, there's always a very gray line between what is right and what is wrong. Because some people will tell you it's all about intent, it's all about the aim of what you want to achieve. And I'm sorry to say, I don't want to bring in any form of religion here, but I'm just going to chip this in. Uh, I was in camp one time during my service here. I remember very well that there was this lady that converted her khaki to a skirt because of her religious belief. I did not kick against it. Well, I only saw it and I kind of smiled about it, but I just turned a blind eye. And then that was one scenario. That was one case study. And then you also see that there are some situations where people will tell you that you are not allowed to, uh, please hold on to that thought, please. Just give me, sorry, please, I want to power on. Please just give me 2 minutes. Sorry, my sincere apology. I had to break for a while. NEPA did what they do, so I had to just the inverter system wasn't kicking off, wasn't coming in automatically, so I just had to check it. So, excuse me. So, where did I stop? Yes, PPEs. We're talking about aprons. So now, and then you see that our parents get to actually get those aprons that we get to grow into them. And talking about, I've mentioned scenario one as regards to the lady that turned khaki into a skirt. And then another scenario that I know of very well is that you hear there's some religious values that they will tell you a lady is not to wear trousers. She's only to wear skirts. And then some will tell you that, oh no, you can wear trousers. You can wear trousers if you want. You can wear skirt if you want. So it's more like a conflict, you understand? And some other religious values that will tell you some ladies you can't wear extensions or you can't do wig. You can only have your natural hair. So these are religious beliefs and religious values and cultures that we've adopted from different over the years. But I want to try and create a balance as regards to that when it comes to health and safety. Good. So, and then now, number one, I think I would like the house to respond to this. Okay, I want to get one or two opinions as regards to this. If Madam Chiamaka, starting with you, I believe you can hear me. So, Madam Chiamaka, if I know you're a rich kid, so I'm not saying you will do this, but let's just say if it happens. So let's say it happens that one day you get a federal appointment with PHCN, NEPA, as we popularly know them, and then you were told you are the team lead for power control and the connection, blah blah blah, of Guzape, yes, and all of that. And then you are from a background where you are not meant to wear trousers. Please, what do you think is the right thing for you to do? Or how do you think you will be able to go around that process? Madam Chiamaka, are you there? Madam Chiamaka is not in the class. Okay, Madam Zibo.
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, so Madam Zibo, do you think it is conflicting for a lady working in PHCN to, excuse me, do you think it's conflicting for a lady working in PHCN to only wear skirts?
No, sir.
What if she's the one responsible to cut the wire?
I said no, it's not conflicting. You can't wear skirt now. How will you now climb the pole to cut the fire? Everything will just showcase.
Okay. No. Okay. So it's not in that case right now, it's not safe for her to wear a skirt to work, right? Are we correct?
Yes, sir. And to be flexible,
Okay. So for a lady that studied mechanical, yeah. So for a lady that studied, yeah. So for a lady that studied mechanical
yes, sir,
engineering, right?
correct.
And then yeah. So let's say a lady studied mechanical engineering in the university, and then she's interning in a mechanical workshop, and then she's meant to work on a car. Do you think it's safe for her to have extensions or let's say long hair? Do you think it's safe for her to plait long hair?
Yes, sir. You can place
It
long
is safe
hair.
for her.
Yes, you can pack it.
Okay. What if it falls, because I know when you pack it, the thing it still they lose once in a while.
You pack it in such a way that it will not lose.
Okay, but just to be on the safe
But,
side, it's better not to plate
but
it.
the other way around is not safe.
Okay, there are other hairstyles that she can have that will actually still fit her and will still be able to prevent any form of that. That village people will not be able to use it easily to get to her. You
Village people
understand?
can, if your village people are serious, they can even use the all back.
Okay. So my point is this. My point is this. Jesus, my serious, Jesus Christ. So my point is this. That most of the time there's a very gray area between what people refer to as decent dressing and as what we refer to as permissive
Indecent.
values when it comes to the dress code. You understand? There's a very gray line to it. So, for an example, if you're a lady that you like to make your hair, and then you found yourself in an environment whereby you have to deal a lot with machines, it is advisable that you don't have long hair at work, because God forbid you might be operating one of those machines and then your hair will just fall, intertwine with one of the machines and roll and actually result into an accident. There's this video link I would get and then upload it, please. I pray I remember. There's a lady that made such a mistake in the US that she actually had her entire scalp pulled off. So you know the way white ladies have naturally, white ladies have long hair. So that day she started her vehicle and then she was hearing cracky sounds in the engine. So she came down from the car, popped up the hood, which is the bonnet that we refer to. She popped up the hood of the car and then the car was still running. So she was like hearing the cracky sound around the belt area. And then she forgot to turn off the engine, but she was actually trying to check to know what the sound or what was happening. And then the moment she bent down to check, her hair fell, and the belt in the belt in the pulley system pulled her hair completely off. She had to go through a very serious plastic surgery before they actually could able to make her look as good as possible again. So she never planned for that, but because of the possible hazard, or she forgot, and then it happened, and then it resulted to an accident. For a situation of you are wearing skirts, not wearing trousers, you are meant to wear trousers, and then let's say you now go to the office, they now say that you should come and climb one area, or just imagine a woman is wearing a police officer is wearing a skirt, and then she's being told to do parade, and then she's meant to do left, right, left, right. It won't be comfortable for her. Or maybe you see a military woman in line of action whereby they're actually exchanging fire with bandits, and then she's wearing skirts. You understand? And no, it won't be comfortable at all. So my major point is that for every form of or workspace, there's a proper decent dressing that we can actually go by, or dress code that actually ensure or keep us safe in that particular environment. So before I throw the next jab at the ladies, now, what are the following types of protective clothing that we have? We have general purpose safety clothing. We have heat resistive work aprons. We have high temperature work clothing, low temperature work clothing, anti-electrostatic work clothing, impermeable work clothing, life jackets, reflective clothing, and work clothing to prevent cuts. Personally, I learned the hard way. Let me throw a jab at myself. During my internship, I was very, as a young man, I think when growing up, we were used to wearing short sleeves back then. So I had a lot of short sleeve shirts during my internship and sideways. And then I also had a lot of corporate trousers, because then at least then I'm still a very young person, but I believe everybody should be able to relate to this. We were wearing more of corporate trousers than wearing less of jean actually. So I discovered that the first 1 month of working on sites, I had no clothes to wear again. All my trousers are torn. Binding wire has punctured one trousers one way or the other. And I think the worst wardrobe failure I had was the day that I wore a particular trousers and then I was trying to cross over a particular reinforcement. and then the body wire actually tore my trouser from underneath. Then I had to go and buy, I think I had to go and buy a short from one of the market near close to the site, and I wore it on top. It was a very bad wardrobe failure, very, very bad one. Trust me. I think it was a very, very bad one. So, and then, but if I'm wearing a jean, that's why right now, 60% of my trousers are jean. They are very, very strong. They are actually very thick enough fabric to withstand any form of scratch against binding wire or nails, and then they don't easily go bad like normal corporate trousers. Now, for the shirts, while I was doing my internship, also for the first month, I was always wearing short sleeves. And then I discovered that from a little bit above my elbow down to my fingers, they were getting darker. So I had two color codes on my body. My skin had two complexion, black and yellow, black and yellow. You understand? So, and then it was later when I complained to my aunt, and my aunt now told me that two things is that I start using sunscreen, or I immediately change all my shirts to long sleeve shirts, so that way I get to protect myself from any form of direct contact with sun rays, or get to prevent myself from any sunburn, and then also wear gloves on my hands, so that way I just get to protect myself since I'm going to be underneath the sun for a while, or a very reasonable amount of time during the day, getting to do supervision routines and project meetings and things like that. So that way, at some point, I literally had to sit down, do a complete review of my wardrobe, started getting short sleeve, long sleeve shirts, and then started getting jeans. So if anybody should come in and I want to buy a shirt for you, I'll tell you, I beg, just make sure it's long sleeve. Just make sure it's long sleeve. I don't want short sleeve shirts. So most of my shirts right now, 70% of my shirts are long sleeves, including my casual wears, and then 60% of my trousers or pants are trousers are pants. Please, 70%, 60% of my trousers are jean wears. I only get to wear the what's it called, the corporate trousers during, let's say, Sundays or events that has to do with non-working environment and things like that. So these are the reason why you need to take note of the type of attire or material you wear during, or that fits your working environment. So now, the ladies will have to forgive me. I want to throw one very serious jab to the ladies. Madam Zibo, you are the only lady in the house, so please, you have to be the one to answer for the ladies, all right? So there's this conflict with ladies wanting to wear aprons, not lab coat. You know, aprons, the one that the Yoruba people call it somodobo. You wear it completely, and then it completely covers you up. Like, let me show you the picture of an apron of
Hang it at the neck and tie the rope at the back.
Good. An apron. The first one that you're looking at here, this is the apron. This one, general purpose protective clothing, yeah, or something like that, or like this high temperature, yeah, like a full body apron. So I once had a class some times back, and then I told them that for the mechanical engineers in the house, especially the ladies that are into a professional line of work, they have to wear this a lot. And then the ladies kicked against it. And then they said no, that they cannot be wearing aprons all the time. Madam Zibo, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
So the ladies said they cannot be wearing aprons all the time because they don't know where the Lord will connect them to their destiny helper. You understand? So that they will not be looking like they are not what it is. You understand? So I said, okay, fine, that we don't really know how to address, I don't know how to solve that problem right now. So how would you suggest, or how would you advise that they solve the problem?
They'll put rubber at the waist.
Anyway, that's the new one. Okay, they should go and adjust it and put an elastic band
Rubber
at the waist area,
yes,
so that it can shrink in and then bring out their shape.
At least, yes, sir.
Wow. I dropped the cap for you. To be honest, I've never thought about that one, but this is a new one. This is a new one, to be honest. I think you've done it before, Abby?
No, sir.
Okay, you have a friend that have done it before. That's why you know that it works.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I will let the class know when I'm teaching the next class that a lady called Madam Zibo, our baker, said this is the solutions to that. But then back then, a lady stood up in the class and said she was very blunt about it and said, the truth is this: if you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Whether you are wearing apron or not, it will
But
show.
at least the rubber will enhance it.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not aware. I'm not aware. We'll leave it like that. I can assure you that I don't know what you're talking about. Please. I'm not aware. Let's leave it like that. But this was what she said. And if I'm to make your solution alongside to our own solution, this is what I will say. Quoting Madam Zibo, the other lady, this is what I will say. If you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you don't have it. But you
Ah,
can still use rubber
no.
band and it will help you. so, so, but your safety is first. Now, person where they save, now they try impress person later. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So, so that's it. So the next thing we're gonna be talking about, we have just few more. Oh, we're actually done. We've exceeded our time. Okay, let me take 10 minutes. 10 minutes of our time. We can give me to 11:45, and then we just shut down. So the next thing we'll talk about is permit to work. PTW is what we refer to it. So permit to work is something that is very, very simple that we all know about. It's from like a formal document that we actually get to submit to authorities to get approval to carry out critical operations. Uh, for any form of operation that you do, or any job or any profession that you have as a person, there's always a governing body that regulates the practice. So for someone like us in the construction industry, we have the FCDAs, we have the development control, we have the NIOBs, we have the ACON, we have COREN, we have NIQS, we have a lot of professional bodies that govern professionals and regulate the way we practice. And whenever we want to carry out anything that is critical or substantial in that particular line of field, we always need to request for approval. And that is what we refer to the document permit to work. So for an example, even medical people request for permit to work is what we refer to as consent form. So for an example, well, let's say a mother in labor or a young woman that is going into labor is not dilating, and then they know that the only option that is left is to carry out CS. They will give you a consent form that you actually consent that they go ahead to carry out the CS on the woman. Is also an official documentation that gives them permits to carry out that particular operation, which is what we refer to as permit to work. When during the COVID-19, that there were a lot of fatalities and people were dying a lot. The U.S. government, the U.S. Department of Health, actually needed to write to the court to get a permit to carry out human trials without doing animal testing. So the way the urgency was that normally for every single drug that you see out there, they do animal testing. They first do clinical trials of genetic implementation, and formulation first. Then when they get it right, they now start doing a back and forth from the genetic implementation with animal testing. So animal testing is where you hear people use lab rats, they use monkeys, they use dogs, because they have close genetic close genetic structure with that of humans to test those drugs on them. So if the drugs get to work, then they get to look for the best of the result, and then they document that, and then they now start going to human clinical trial. So, but because of the urgency of how COVID-19 was actually killing people and going around the entire globe, and the entire world was in a serious panic, the Department of Health had to collect an official documentation that permitted them to skip clinical animal trials straight to human trials, because there was no time for it. And then the first volunteers, or the first set of people that actually volunteered themselves to be tried with the first vaccine of the COVID-19, they all died. They actually all died. You can check it up, or it's on the internet. They actually all died. So that's the definition of what we refer to as permit to work system or permit to work document. Now, what are the procedures of requesting or a permit to work? One, you identify the work you want to do.
Ensure that all the potential hazard of that work you want to do are listed. Ensure that all the hazard or the ways you are going to mitigate those hazards are also properly listed. Ensure that all safety procedures are completely identified. Ensure that the work site is left in a safe condition and completed when the work is done. If the permit to work system works properly, it should actually reduce the level of rate of casualties or reduce or prevent any form of escalation of any form of hazard from happening. So now, how do we get to apply for any form of permit to work or request for approval of any form of permit to work? One, you describe the job you want to do, identify the hazard, specify the necessary safety precautions you are taking, provide appropriate authorities and then responsibilities of all the professionals you are engaging, inform all affected personnel of the work to be done, ensure that the plants or equipment you'll be using are also properly catered for, and ensure that they are in good condition. So now, what are the terminologies we have when it comes to permit to work? One, we have those that we refer to as the competent personnel. These are professionals that will actually be engaged on that particular job, well qualified, well trained, and adequately knowledgeable to actually work or execute one or two operations or activities or tasks on that particular operation or critical operation you want to carry out. You have those that we refer to as supervisors or designated representatives. They are the one in charge to checkmate, coach, organize, and carry out any form of administrative supervision on during the course of execution. You have those that we refer to as the permit issuer. Permit issuer is the person giving you the approval. In my case, I deal with FCDA, I deal with NIOB, I deal with ACON, I deal with OREN, I deal with NIQS. These are all professional bodies that get to govern and give approvals to us when it comes to the construction industry. And then you have what we refer to as zero energy. Zero energy is a technical term we use to quantify or judge or define the state of any equipment that it cannot perform any action by itself or is not in a state of hazardous situation to escalate or create any problem. So for an example, when you're leaving the office, you hear, I believe in most offices now, you see there's a paper on the wall that they will tell you turn off all appliances when you're leaving. So now imagine I'm leaving my house and then I turn off the AC with the remote, but I did not turn it off at the switch. Trust me, there's still power going into the AC and then it can result into fire. But when I turn off the power supply from the wall, that actually shows that it is properly in a zero energy state. Now, permit receiver. Permit receiver is the individual requesting and receiving the approval to go ahead or to carry out that particular critical operation. And then you have those that we refer to as authorized gas testers. Authorized gas testers are individuals or professionals that have been trained to be able to test any form of atmospheric conditions where that job wants to be done. So they will be the one to test whether, especially most of the time it happens in confined spaces, whereby the space is actually hazardous and then it does not have sufficient oxygen for them to breathe. So in the case of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, yes, authorized gas testers were used to actually test the air quality there. And then they discovered there's this radiation in the air and people cannot still live there and things like that. So authorized gas testers are those that are professionals when it comes to testing confined spaces or generally the atmospheric condition or where any form of critical operation wants to be carried out to ensure that it is safe enough. And then if they then discover that you have poor air where you want to do that job, then you get to now make provision for, remember we talked about breathing apparatus, maybe the self-contained or the breathing apparatus attached to an air supply machine, and then they tell you the type of gases they have in the air. It also now also lets you know the type of breathing or what's it called? The type of breathing apparatus that you need to get or the type of cartridge you need to get. Maybe you're getting dust protector or the type of respirator you need to get. Maybe you're getting a dust respirator or you're getting a cartridge or canister or you're getting a breathing apparatus, you understand? So the next thing that we talk about when it comes to PTW is the term that we refer to as intrinsically safe. Is a state or is a standard word that we use or term that we use when we are referring to any form of electrical equipment that have been certified or recognized by the industry that it can be properly used. So most of the time, I believe each and every one of us, you might have seen a device that you see the stamp of SON on it. I don't think has anybody seen that before. Maybe you bought a new TV, you saw SON on it, a stamp of SON. You went to buy drugs, you saw the stamp of NAVDAC. You went to buy a battery, you saw the stamp of SON. So that SON is the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Their stamp on any form of device or object gives an approval that it has been properly checked and safe enough to be consumed by consumers. Just like when you have any form of NAVDAC verification number on any drug or any beverage that you're buying out there. So the next thing is permit validity. Permit validity is the phrase we use for how long the permit is actually valid for. That's the term we use for permit validity. And then we have isolation. Isolation is a term we use when it comes to keeping any form of energy isolated away from each other. So for example, let's say you're working or you want to carry out a critical operation that will involve you using dynamite, such as rock blasting, and then you have petrol tanks around. You get to let them know that you need to isolate any form of fuel from any form of possible ignition source. So is a professional term we use when it comes to separating materials that can actually two or more or three materials that when they come together, they can create a very, very dangerous hazardous situation or an accident. So you need to isolate them away from each other. So what are the types of permit to work that we have? One, we have hot work permits. Please allow me to just go very fast. We have cold work permits. We have confined space entry work permits. You have entry electrical work permits. You have vehicle entry work permits. Those are the types of permit to work documents that we have. The one I quickly want to talk about is this vehicle entry work permit. I believe one way or the other, you might have been in a situation whereby maybe you are traveling and then you then see that there's this form of barricade that they will put that will not allow maybe long vehicles or big trailers to actually pass a particular route. And then it's only small vehicles and SUVs that can actually go through. I think I'm not the only one, like one or two, at least somebody in this class should have seen such a thing. And then there are situations, maybe you are going into a particular working environment and then they will tell you only authorized official vehicle can actually enter into that space, or a particular type of car can enter into that type of space. So these are examples of vehicle entry work permit. So what are the responsibilities we have under permit to work system? We have the management responsibility grid. We have to ensure that the permit to work system has been properly developed appropriately. Ensure that all personnel and employee and contractors are fully aware and knowledgeable and trained. Ensure that all the personnel who are responsible for issuing, receiving, and implementing permits are properly trained and are aware of what they're about to do or the critical procedures to be engaged in. Ensure that there are sufficient resources from the beginning of the implementation to the completion of the implementation. Then we have the supervisors, just with the name like supervisors or designated representative. They're in charge of supervision and administrative coordination to ensure that everything is done properly, ensure that the permit to work is properly issued and properly received, and ensure that the personnel working on the job stick to the permit giving and avoid any form of unsafe acts or avoid any form of unsafe conditions. You have HSE supervisor. HSE supervisor is your work to actually develop the safety plan and implement the safety plan. Is the job of the HSE supervisor to regularly inspect for any form of safety flaws. Is also responsible for periodic review and reporting to the company. The permit issuer, which is the authority, is the one that's meant to check that everybody have done their work properly before issuing out the permit, and then also check that the permit is not also abused. Also, they are also meant to follow up on the permit validity, that people are not meant to exceed the validity given to them. And the permit receiver is also to ensure that they are very much knowledgeable of what they are requesting for, not that they will just say to go and request for something and you don't know what you're requesting about. And also ensure that he or she is knowledgeable about the full risks and how to control and prevent any form of escalation during the course of execution. And it is 11:45 on the dot. This is 11:45. And I think I should shut down. I shouldn't take much of our time for today. From next week, we'll continue from confined spaces. Confined spaces is where we'll continue next week. So thank you very much, everyone, for today. Do I have any question before we call it a day? Anyone has? Is there anyone that's having any question for me?
No, sir.
You have a question, ma?
No, sir, I don't have. Thank you for the giveaway.
You say waiting. You say what?
I say thank you for the giveaway.
I didn't do anything. No, I didn't do anything. Please, I didn't. So, Madam, so anyone, is there anyone having any question? Madam Zibo does not have any question for us. Oga Yuba.
No questions, sir.
Olamigoke, any question? Mr. Michael, Mr. Joseph, any question?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Yuba, go and vote. Go and vote.
Okay, sir, I will, sir. Thank you so much for
Madam Chiamaka has gone to vote. Madam Chiamaka has gone to vote. Go and vote your own vote. Yes.
Okay, sir, I will, sir.
Yeah, so nice. Thank you very much. It's nice having you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please stay safe, stay out of trouble, and see you guys next week.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Yeah.